Hello everyone, and welcome back to History of the Ancient World. Today we're journeying to a land of incredible diversity, profound philosophy, and epic history, ancient India. This vast subcontinent, protected by the mighty Himalayas to the north and surrounded by oceans, was the cradle of one of the world's oldest and most influential civilizations. Our story begins in the fertile plains of the Indus River Valley, around 3300 BCE. Here, a remarkable civilization emerged, known as the Indus Valley or Harappan civilization. This was a contemporary of ancient Egypt in Mesopotamia, but in many ways it was unique. Imagine bustling, meticulously planned cities, like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. These weren't chaotic settlements, they were marvels of urban planning. They had grid-like streets, advanced drainage and sewer systems that were centuries ahead of the time, and impressive multi-story houses made of uniform, baked bricks. These cities were centers of trade and craftsmanship. Archaeologists have unearthed beautiful pottery, intricate beadwork, and enigmatic seals covered in a script that we still haven't fully deciphered. What's fascinating is the apparent lack of grand palaces, or monumental temples dedicated to powerful rulers. This suggests a more egalitarian society, perhaps governed by a council of priests or merchants. The people known as Harappans were skilled farmers, cultivating wheat, barley, and cotton, and they traded extensively, with their goods reaching as far as Mesopotamia. It's a civilization shrouded in mystery, especially its decline around 1800 BCE. Was it climate change, the shifting of rivers, or an invasion? We don't know for sure, but their legacy of urban planning and trade laid the groundwork for what was to come. After the decline of the Indus Valley civilization, a new chapter in Indian history began with the arrival of Indo-Aryan peoples around 1500 BCE. This period is known as the Vedic Age, named after the Vedas, which are the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. These weren't written down at first, they were sacred hymns and rituals passed down orally through generations of priests or Brahmins. The most important of these is the Rig Veda, which gives us glimpses into the early Vedic society. They were a pastoral, semi-nomadic people who valued their cattle and were organized into tribes or janas, led by chieftains called rajas. Their society was structured, and this is where we see the early origins of the Varna system, a social hierarchy that would later evolve into the complex caste system. This system divided society into four main classes: the Brahmins or priests, the Kshatriyas or warriors and rulers, the Vaishyas or merchants and farmers, and the Shudras or laborers. As the Vedic people settled down and spread eastward into the fertile Gangetic plain, their society transformed. Iron tools allowed them to clear dense forests and expand agriculture. Small tribal settlements grew into powerful territorial kingdoms known as Mahajanapadas, or Great Realms. By the 6th century BCE, there were 16 of these kingdoms, constantly vying for power and influence. This was a time of intense political, economic, and intellectual ferment. Cities like Varanasi and Pataliputra became hubs of commerce and new ideas. It was during this dynamic and questioning era that two of the world's major religions emerged from outside the traditional Vedic framework: Buddhism and Jainism. Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha, and Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, both challenged the existing religious and social norms. They offered new spiritual paths focused on personal enlightenment, non-violence, and ethics, attracting many followers who were looking for alternatives to the ritual-heavy Vedic religion. The political landscape of India was forever changed by the rise of one of these Mahajanapadas, Magadha. Located in modern-day Bihar, Magadha had strategic advantages: rich agricultural lands, iron ore deposits, and control over trade routes. A series of ambitious rulers like Bimbisara and Ajatashatru expanded its territory through conquest and clever alliances. This set the stage for India's first great empire. In 322 BCE, a brilliant young man named Chandragupta Maurya, guided by his shrewd advisor Kautilya, overthrew the ruling Nanda dynasty and established the Mauryan Empire. This was a monumental achievement. For the first time, a single power unified almost the entire Indian subcontinent, from the Himalayas in the north to the southern tip of India. The Mauryan Empire was a marvel of administration. Kautilya's famous treatise, the Arthashastra, gives us a detailed blueprint of how this vast empire was managed. It describes a centralized government with a complex bureaucracy, a vast network of spies, a powerful army, and a system of taxation that funded it all. The empire built roads, including the Grand Royal Highway, which facilitated trade and communication across the subcontinent. But the most famous Mauryan emperor was Chandragupta's grandson, Ashoka the Great. Ashoka started his reign as a fierce conqueror, much like his predecessors. His brutal campaign against the kingdom of Kalinga was a turning point. Horrified by the immense bloodshed and suffering he had caused, Ashoka had a profound change of heart. He renounced violent conquest and embraced Buddhism. Ashoka's reign transformed from one of military power to one of moral and ethical governance. He adopted a policy he called Dhamma, a concept of moral law, duty, and righteousness. He had his edicts, messages of peace, tolerance, and social welfare, carved on pillars and rocks throughout his empire for everyone to see. These pillars, some of which still stand today, are incredible testaments to his vision. He promoted non-violence, respect for elders and all living beings, and religious tolerance. He built hospitals for both people and animals, planted trees along roads, and sent Buddhist missionaries to spread the message of peace to places as far as Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and even the Middle East. After Ashoka's death, however, the Mauryan Empire began to decline, eventually fragmenting into smaller kingdoms around 185 BCE, but its legacy of a unified India and the principles of Ashoka's Dhamma left a lasting impact on Indian civilization. Following the fall of the Mauryas, India entered a period of political fragmentation, but it was also a time of incredible cultural and economic vibrancy. Various regional kingdoms and foreign invaders like the Indo-Greeks, the Shakas, and the Kushans established control over different parts of northern India. The Kushan Empire, in particular, became a major player on the world stage. They controlled the lucrative Silk Road trade routes that passed through their territory, connecting the Roman Empire in the west with Han-China in the east. This created a melting pot of cultures. Greek artistic styles blended with Indian themes, leading to the beautiful Gandhara school of art, which produced the first anthropomorphic images of the Buddha. Science and learning also flourished during this time. This era of fragmentation came to an end with the rise of another great Indian empire, the Gupta Empire, founded by Chandragupta Af around 320 CE. The Gupta period is often called the Golden Age of India. While not as vast as the Mauryan Empire, the Guptas presided over a period of unprecedented peace, prosperity, and cultural achievement. Under emperors like Samudragupta and Chandragupta II, the arts, sciences, and literature reached new heights. The great poet Kalidasa wrote his timeless plays and poems. The magnificent cave temples of Ajanta and Ellora, with their stunning paintings and sculptures, were created. In the field of science and mathematics, Indian scholars made groundbreaking discoveries. The concept of zero, the decimal system, and the numerals we use today were developed during this period. The astronomer Aryabhata correctly calculated the value of pi, explained that the Earth rotates on its axis, and accurately described the causes of solar and lunar eclipses. Gupta surgeons were performing complex procedures like plastic surgery. This golden age was a time of immense intellectual confidence and creativity, which had a profound influence not just on India but on the entire world. The decline of the Gupta Empire in the 6th century CE marked the end of the classical era of ancient India. Invasions from Central Asia, particularly by the Hunas, weakened the empire, leading it to splinter once again into regional kingdoms. But the foundations laid over these thousands of years were strong. The religious and philosophical traditions of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, the social structures, the scientific knowledge, and the artistic achievements all continued to evolve and shape the course of Indian history. From the mysterious cities of the Indus Valley to the golden age of the Guptas, ancient India's story is one of resilience, innovation, and profound spiritual and intellectual depth. It's a history that gave the world so much, from urban planning and non-violence to the number zero. It truly is a testament to the enduring power of one of the world's great ancient civilizations. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey through ancient India. We've only scratched the surface of this incredibly rich history. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to History of the Ancient World for more explorations into our shared past. Let us know in the comments which civilization you'd like us to cover next. Until then, stay curious.